Sagittarius, welcome to your weekend reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for you for the upcoming weekend. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What are the messages for Sagittarius this weekend? Two cards coming right out. Three. Okay, let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Deep knowing for Sagittarius. Okay, so whatever I say might be something you're already well aware of. Let's have a look. We got change in the wind, observer, and no place like home. You know, Leo got some of these cards. You might have some placements in Leo, or you might want to just check out that Leo reading as well. Very interesting to see the same cards, except for deep knowing. What's under deep knowing? Coming to the edge. Okay, so we've got card 49 and 50 again here. Leo had this too. So this is a sequence in a very well shuffled deck. That always tells me that you're moving towards something rather quickly. So there is something you're moving towards. You're being guided here. You're being guided down a process that's going to involve something that you sort of have a gut feeling about it. You have a deep knowing about this already. There is a change in the wind. You're being guided to observe that change and sort of take the wisdom from it, because I think you're going to end up in a place here of inner peace. When I see the no place like home card, it's a time of sort of divine knowledge, divine connection, intuitive recognition of something that feels like it's for you. It's something that feels like home. I always think that home isn't a place, it's a feeling. Right? It's a feeling. And so you're moving towards something that feels authentic to you. It feels like you're home. You know what I mean? And it's a feeling. It's not necessarily a place or a location, but it's a feeling. It's a sense that we have about something, a deep knowing about what's for you. And I feel like change in the wind is coming to blow you into that direction, but you've got to observe this. You got to go with the flow here and observe it without evaluation or judgment or doubt or criticism. You know, follow that deep knowing towards what feels like home. For Sagittarius, Five of Swords coming right out here. So yeah, there's something that you need to acknowledge. There's a truth here that may be difficult to process, but it's one that needs to be acknowledged. And I feel like observing this truth is going to serve you. And so if there's something that you have sort of been feeling like a deep knowing about or a gut instinct about, but you're sort of not giving it, you know, any sort of time, or you're doubting it, or you're saying, no, that can't be. It's almost like you might want to revisit that and sort of look at this a little bit deeper, because I feel like instinctively you know where this is taking you, and you might be resistant to it because it feels like too big of a change, right? It feels like too big of a change, or you might not know what lies ahead. Let's see, what are the obstacles here for Sagittarius in this situation? Three of Cups. So this may involve friendships. You may have a deep knowing about some friendships that are shifting. And you know what? It's okay when that happens. I know a lot of people, myself included, back in the day, I used to get really, really sort of attached to my friendships. And then if something shifted, and someone needed to go on a different path, and maybe we couldn't walk that path together for reasons that, you know, vary and are not always personal, sometimes we take that really personally because we're so attached. We're attached and we think you're my friend and where are you going? And, you know, it can lead to sort of making some assumptions about why people shift directions and taking it personally. And I can say honestly for myself that was a big struggle for me, you know, a few years ago, like not that long ago, when certain friendships transformed, because we're always transforming as individuals, and we're expanding and contracting and growing and healing and doing shadow work and needing time and being inspired to go in different directions. that the idea of unconditional love allows people to move close and away without the love changing. That's a hard, sometimes can be a very hard lesson to take the wisdom from, because we're busy taking it personally, right? So when I see the Three of Cups in reverse, that tells me that maybe you've been having a deep feeling about some friendship transformations, that there are people around you right now that aren't as they were once, and that is changing the dynamic of the relationship. And it almost seems like you're being guided to just observe that process, Sagittarius, without judgment. To observe without judgment is a very high sort of emotional intelligence that is it's tricky, right? To truly observe something without making any judgments on it can be challenging for us as human beings, because we're judgment machines, aren't we? And so it's almost like we have to be very conscious about what it is that we're equating. So there's a difficult truth here, a difficult truth that you're being guided to observe with respect to a change in the wind in your friendships, in the people that you would think of as your people, your core friend group is changing. And you're really being guided to observe that without it causing you to judge it and to take it personally, to just allow it to happen, to let things come and go without feeling attachment, because it's the attachment that causes the suffering. Let's see here. What is top of mind for Sagittarius? Top of mind for you is rebuilding with new collaborations. Three of Pentacles. So I feel like as people blow in and out of your life with this change in the wind, right? There's a change in the wind. And I think it's blowing relationships out and in and out. But that doesn't mean anything more than that. It doesn't mean that these people don't love you. It doesn't mean that these people now suddenly, don't like you. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean that. It could mean that, but even if that's what it meant, that serves you in some way. It's almost like looking at things from a higher perspective in this Observer card, right? Like to look at it from a higher perspective than they've removed their love. And maybe they have, maybe they haven't. Maybe they just are being called in a different direction. Perhaps your energies aren't aligned with one another right now. Anyway, it does feel like you're ready to build something new. You got 2 3s here. They're both in reverse. So I know this feels like a challenge right now, that you're chiseling away at a new foundation here. And I think, though, that this is coming out to tell you, don't fret, because there are new collaborations coming. That even if there's an emotional attachment to these people, the path you're building now is actually going to bring in things that are more in alignment with you. And that might be a difficult truth to accept this weekend or in general. But this is intended for your weekend. Now let's see what's driving all of this. I think you've transformed. Queen of Swords coming out. So we see here the energy of the Queen of Swords is one of certainty and one of sort of cutting truth. So it's almost like what's driving this reading is that you can't ignore the truth anymore. The truth of the matter is this 5 of Swords, and you've got to accept it. And accepting it, you're being guided to accept it without judgment, to just observe it as being part of the path that you're on. And we can't always take everyone down the path with us, right? And so it's almost like this Queen of Swords is here to say to you, hold your sword with confidence, knowing that you're always moving towards an energy that feels like home, which says that you're always moving towards energies that are in alignment with your energy, right? As above, so below. So whatever your energy is, that's the stuff you're attracting right now. And that's not to say, hey, this is all on you. It's just to say that in a universe that is comprised of energy, like attracts like. So if you're vibing in a certain way that's sort of not in vibe with the people that you're surrounded with right now, then you're going to notice that those people sort of start to vibe away from you, or that you start to vibe away from them. And that, again, doesn't mean anything other than you're not in alignment with each other. You're not bringing out the best in one another. That's not the place where you're going to be thriving, right? And so as a result of not thriving, your energy is taking you somewhere else. And I feel like you're building something new here with new people, new collaborators, new work, new stuff in the material world. But you have an emotional attachment to these folks, and I don't think that the emotions have to change. You can still love someone even if they're walking a path that's not on the path that you're walking on. You know what I mean? Just because a relationship transforms doesn't mean that it's over and what a waste and it's done. And I mean, I say that because I've been there. I've been there myself, where I've had a hard time accepting relationships changing or moving away. And I remember being very hurt and taking it personally and getting defensive. And now, as I've had time to process a lot of changes in relationships in the past few years, I see that it's just about going where the vibe is in alignment, which is the No Place Like Home card. And I think the Queen of Swords is here to sort of give you her steel, her sharp sword of discernment, to say, we got to go where things feel right, even if it makes us sort of appear cold. Like sometimes the Queen of Swords gets that as feedback, is like, you're cold, lady. But she's not cold. She knows she's discerning. She's discerning, and she trusts herself, right? She trusts herself and she's discerning. That may come across as being emotionally cold, but she's not. She's clear. She's certain, right? And she doesn't mix things up. And that's the guidance here for you, Sagittarius. Maybe you're dealing with a Scorpio. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for you, Sagittarius. Sending you so much love and light and wishing you the best weekend. Hope to see you again for another reading. Take care, my friends.